As the saying goes, boys will be boys and girls will be girls. But it's not always that clear. Hi, I'm Teddy, and today I will be discussing transgender issues and religious freedom. Although the transgender movement has gained increased traction over the past few years, transgender individuals still face extreme discrimination and exclusion, even from the LGBT community. When it comes to religious freedom and transgender issues, there are two main ways of looking at this problem. First, people making religious claims, which frequently seem to be thinly veiled discrimination against transgender acceptance, and people fighting for the freedom to be openly transgender because of their religion. One way in which religious freedom and transgender issues clash is in discrimination from religious institutions. For instance, in the case of Cabading versus California Baptist University, male-to-female transgendered student Domaine Javier was expelled from a Christian university after discussing, quote, the stigma of being transgender on an MTV show, which ironically confirmed exactly what she was discussing on the show. In applying to the university, she did check the female box, and specifically read the code of conduct, seeing no mention of gender identity as a reason for expulsion. Both sides ended up claiming victory, as the court ruled that for-profit businesses may not discriminate against transgender individuals. Javier was awarded $4,000 because the on-campus bookstore and restaurants were for-profit businesses. However, the university itself did not have to compensate her. A similar case arose in Hastings versus Seton Medical Center, in which a male-to-female transgender woman was denied breast augmentation surgery at a Catholic hospital because the surgeon claimed it's not God's will and God made you a man. When Hastings sued, the hospital decided instead to enter into discussions to resolve the case, resulting in the hospital now allowing equal opportunity surgeries, with the same procedures being offered to all regardless of gender. These institutions were specifically religious, explicitly claiming to be affiliated with a certain religion. However, even institutions that are supposedly religion neutral still show signs of discrimination. Take, for instance, the case of James Dean Ingram, a transgender woman who attempted to legally change her name to Angela Renee Ingram in order to better reflect her gender identity. The judge presiding over her case claimed that, quote, a so-called sex change surgery can make one appear to be the opposite sex, but in fact they are nothing more than an imitation of the opposite sex, end quote. He also quoted scripture and said that, quote, the DNA code shows that God meant for them to stay male and female. This example of anti-transgender behavior in the system shows just how ingrained this mindset is, and how religious freedom without separation of church and state can be problematic, especially concerning LGBT issues. What is especially interesting in these cases, however, is how some religions actually accept and embrace transgender individuals. Take, for instance, the Native American tradition, in which there are not two genders but three, the third being two-spirited. This category encompasses those who reject the strict categorization of male and female, instead embracing both roles, such as feminine men and masculine women. For example, in the case of Stover versus Corrections Corporation of America, a Native American male-to-female transgendered woman by the name of Jessica Stover was refused the right to use a prison sauna with the other inmates for her Native American sweating ceremonies. At the time, prison officials claimed it was for Stover's own safety, as she could face hostility from other inmates due to her feminine characteristics. Stover pressed charges, claiming a religious right to use the sauna. The prison explained his actions, saying that to some Native Americans, the presence of a two-spirited individual would break the sanctity of the ceremony. However, since none of the inmates expressed this concern, Stover ended up winning the right to use the sauna. In all of these cases, there is a fine line between religious freedom and discriminatory behavior. On one hand, you have a disenfranchised people, a group facing intense discrimination, with many barriers in the way of eliminating social stigma and living true to themselves. However, on the other hand, you have a group that recognizes that their core values clash with their acceptance of these lifestyles. The real issue here is trying to find a compromise that respects the rights of both groups. And that's the way it is. Once again, I'm Teddy Wansink, reporting from the Center for the Study of Religious Freedom at Virginia Wesleyan College. If you want to learn more about religious freedom, make sure to like the Center on Facebook and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.